Here's a hot take. I think One Piece is as equal of literature as Lord of the Rings. Okay. Even Harry Potter, like maybe better than Harry Potter. I think One Piece, we're going to look back and it's like, it's going to be a modern day version of the Lord of the Rings, Chronicles of Narnia, the Odyssey. I don't know. Whatever the other one is. I forget whatever Homer came up with outside of the Odyssey. Dang it. I'm forgetting and I feel like an idiot. Let me know in the comments, I guess. But yeah, One Piece is insane. One Piece is awesome. And if you're not watching it, you got time. Okay, there's a 1,163 chapters as of today. And think about it like this. Wouldn't you, when you finish your favorite TV show, don't you wish there was like more to the TV show? Don't you wish there was more of the, like, not whenever you got like a 12 season long show and it like stops getting good after season 6. I'm talking about like when you finish like Ted Lasso, you get to season what, 3 or 4, and you're like, I think there's only 3 seasons, or it's 4, I don't know. But you get to the end of Ted Lasso and you're like, all right, when's the next season coming out? And they're like, oh, we're done. And you're like, what the heck? Why are you done with that? Keep making more. And then they decide to make more. And most likely when it actually comes out, it's probably not going to be as good, unfortunately. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe it'll be just as good. But anyways, what I love about One Piece is that it's so long and it's so good. It's so good. The meme is so true where it's like when you haven't read it, oh, it's too long. I'll never catch up. And then when you've actually caught up, you're like, dude, it's not long enough. It's coming to a close and I don't want it to end anytime soon. Okay. So here's why I think it's important. I think how Luffy, the main character, sets out to accomplish his goal of becoming the king of the pirates. It's like a perfect analogy for like business, life, being a YouTube creator. Basically, anytime you're like setting out to accomplish a goal, it's such like a big picture. It's a roadmap for how to accomplish that thing. So let me explain. When Luffy sets out, he sets out in like a little dinghy. He sets out on a little boat. He's 17 years old. He's done a lot of training. He's been for a few years like training on his home island. He's lived in obscurity for a little bit, kind of like Jesus did up until he was 30 and started his ministry. 33? Dang it. Now I'm feeling like a real idiot. But anyways, he trained in obscurity. Then he sets out on a journey. And the first thing he says is like in the first chapter or two, he's like, I need he basically lists out all that he needs. He's like, I need a first mate, I need a navigator, and he listed off a few other things. I need a cook, I need a musician, and a few other things, right? But he's like, I need at least 7. So he knows that in order to actually get to where he wants to go, he has to build a team. Ooh, come on now. That's good news. That is a good word right there. He has to build a team. And I've been wrestling with this because I think a lot of people have like this weird balance with like being a YouTube creator. Like, because technically someone could be just sitting in here and like doing this, right? You could just sit down on your computer and you can talk to the camera and that's all you need. There's plenty of YouTube creators who do that, right? They edit every video, they make every thumbnail, and they're doing just fine. Okay. But I think if you really want to set out to like make something really big that becomes bigger than just being a guy that sits out home and talks to your camera, and kind of like depending on who you want to be, like, for example, what I want to be is a creator that like makes new streams of media for families, right? That's like with my main YouTube channel. If you don't know it, like click on one of these buttons up here or something where I'm making like Disney entertainment stuff. So, and I really want to make media for families who want to sit down and instead of watching a TV show or instead of sitting down and watching a creator or, I want a dad to be able to hand an iPad or an iPhone to his son. And he's like, yeah, you can watch anything Dino makes because I'm confident it's safe and clean and like a positive experience for my kid. And that's what I want to make. So here I am. That's kind of what I need. And so in order to compete in that zone, I'm realizing I need to build a team. So this is how I'm building my team. This is like my goals, right? Like right now I'm setting off in the dinghy. I'm like, I just gotta freaking go. Okay. I gotta go on a journey. And as I'm going on my journey, I'm going to need some help. And so here's what I'm thinking about doing with my main channel. And if you're trying to be a creator, I think this would be helpful for you as well, maybe to think about it. Okay. Also you need to be making money for this to happen. So first off, you got to like train, right? So that involves making videos on your own in obscurity. You're not going to get views. Okay. And I think I've done that very well. I've made plenty of videos that don't get views, but I did my training and now I'm like ready to start off. And so the first thing you get is you need a first mate. So what is that first mate? That first mate can be someone like an editor. Okay. So I'm actually right now with my friend Josh. He's very part-time, my first mate. You know, I'm sending off some of my videos to him and he does like a first pass at like basically getting selects, basically meaning like he takes out all the bad stuff, or not bad, but like boring, like me moving the camera around, and he basically gets all the main shots in place. And then what he does is he, puts together, he adds music, he kind of does his own little pass. I give him some revisions. We go kind of scene by scene, and then by the end of it, he's got a final product or a rough draft, or essentially then he sends that rough draft to me, and then I now get to work on a pre-made canvas. I'm not starting from scratch anymore. Like I'm handing it to him, and then he's giving me sort of like rough draft versions that I'm just tweaking at that point. And we did that for my last video that I just made, which was the worst rated rides, and I felt like that was a pretty good flow. Like it saved me a lot of time, in my opinion. So that's your first mate. Your first mate is an editor, but that can be, I think, it can also be anything else. It could be a strategist. It could be someone who's just in your corner. Actually, no, I'm getting ahead of myself. Your first mate kind of is like your editor. So that's kind of where I'm going. And like I said, this is not someone who's going to completely take over for my editing. This is just like, I love that little bit that I get to like add to the video of just me playing around with it. And I don't think that's going to change anytime soon, but you need someone to take the bulk of your work from you. And that's what a first mate does. The first mate kind of like makes sure the ship runs smooth. Next, what he gets is he gets a navigator. He gets Nami, right? And if you're following along, like the first mate is Zoro, right? And he goes and he gets Zoro. Then he gets Nami, who's his navigator. And your navigator, that's like your strategist. That is basically your person who's going to like think and help you find out where to go. You can go to that person and say, I'm trying to get over there. How do I, there's some rough waters in between here and there. Like, how do I get to that spot? And they can kind of walk alongside you and kind of like point you in the right directions. And I think a strategist kind of is underrated, in my opinion. Like I used to think they were overrated. I'm like, bro, I don't need a strategist. Like I know what I'm doing. I'll learn from default. Like I'll figure this stuff out. Like I don't need that. But then you sit down and you actually talk with the strategist, and dude, you walk away feeling so pumped. You walk away feeling so excited about where you're going, right? Because you know that you're actually going somewhere. Like when you don't have a strategist, you're just sailing around in the ocean. You have no idea where you're going. You're like, oh frick, like and you start to like wonder, like, man, am I even doing this right? Frick, I don't even know if I should do that. No, but then you end up, the strategist is like, no, we're gonna go port to starboard, whatever that means. But yeah, you just keep going. And yeah, that's kind of like where I'm at, is like kind of trying to find some part-time moments where I can have a strategist. Maybe I'm paying, and there's a guy that I trust really well who I figured I can basically not meet with him every week or whatever, but it's like once a month, maybe $150 just to kind of like help realign where I'm going. All of this takes money, right? But at this point, my channel is bringing in like an average of like $100 a month, so I can kind of like use that money a little bit. Yeah, and there's so much more that I feel like I could talk about this. I feel like if I really go into like each layer, this video will be like an hour. But right now my camera's dying, so I need to wrap this up. And so basically, if you're interested in what maybe the rest of that crew might look like, then subscribe, like, let me know in the comments, and maybe I'll make a part 2 to this. But I just wanted to like, I've just been thinking about that a lot. It's like, man, as a creator, you got to think like Luffy. What would Luffy do, and I think if you do that, it can really help. You can find, you can glean a lot of wisdom of like how to get to some place you're trying to go just by reading One Piece. So it's pretty cool. All right, we'll talk to you later. Bye. I love